At the end of the day, what is even more expensive is burning people out, creating churn, and ultimately having to go back to the drawing board and try to hire people. It's expensive to bring people in the organization. It's a requirement, but man, don't shoot yourself in the foot.
We have 13 employees that are field and installers total. Right now, we're doing 2 installs a day, right? And our guys are go, 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 go. It's taking some of these guys 10 hours, sometimes 12 hours, and they're in these hot attics and these severe conditions. Even though you take care of your people, I still notice that there's that fallout. What's up? You are listening to Cracking the Code, another episode brought to you by J-Dub and my host with the most, Mr. Brad Barron. Brad, this week we're going to be changing and shifting a little bit different, and we're going to be talking about avoiding the fallouts. There's a lot of fallouts going out right now. I know in all these different operations, all these businesses. Talk about the importance of talking about this topic today.
Yeah, and just confirming, fallout is the result of me saying last episode that we're going to be taking our shirts off, right? So does that mean that we have to,
so is that,
to take our
is
shirts
that
off?
My shirt or your shirt? We haven't
know,
even talked about that yet.
Is that the fallout? I don't know. Yeah,
I guess they
think we're
have
leave
to
our
watch
shirts
till
on.
the end of the episode to see who takes their shirt off.
It's like that scene, mid-credit, right, at the end of a movie, right? So if you stay tuned long enough, you'll see, what people want to see. So, no, I think that, Jason, at the end of the day, fallout is real, right? I know we've talked in the past about the different seasons in business. You've got your peak, or what we call it, barren delivery seasons. And then you've got your shoulder development seasons, right? And understanding that seasonality, understanding what technicians, the electricians, plumbers, home service providers go through when you're cranking, right? Just essentially pedal to the metal, going full steam ahead. And then all of a sudden, right, things shift and things stop. And, I know we've chatted before, but the more that we get a chance to engage with contractors around the United States, the more that we hear from people that seasonality is one of the biggest challenges. A lot of times people talk about seasonality when it comes to finances, right? And that's real, right? You've got your peak season of sales and installation, and then you've got your shoulder of trying to, overhead recovery, gross profit recovery, et cetera. But at the end of the day, our businesses, right, are built with what? With people, right? People are what make the magic happen. And if we don't take care of our people and we don't understand that they also need respite, they need that development season, the season of rest, then we're going to burn people out, right? And they're going to end up ultimately probably leaving your company. So I don't know. What are some of the things at Royalty that you guys do to help alleviate
You want
that?
to talk about fall? Well, I'm actually in the middle of it. So, this is actually a great conversation to have, especially with a leader like yourself, because you could definitely give me some value information and tips right now. So being a new company, established 2 years, I'm fortunate enough, we are going. One thing that you said, Brad, is gas pedal down to the metal. And we have 13 employees that are field and installers total. And right now we're doing 2 installs a day, right? And our guys are go, 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 go right now, where, installs are taking them because we're not selling just box change outs, right? We're changing solutions. And, it's taking some of these guys 10 hours, sometimes 12 hours, and they're in these hot attics and these severe conditions, right? And so I'm seeing the burnout of my people. And one thing that I posted on social media yesterday was, as a business operator, a supervisor, a manager, what do you do when you start seeing that burnout? And a lot of the posts that I was seeing was, feed your people, do a monthly fun activity, those type of things, which we do. Last week we took our team to a golf simulator thing. I provide lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner at every single install, even if it goes late night. So it's like, even though you take care of your people, I still notice that there's that fallout. So my question to you is, operating such a large company, what do you do when you see those departments have those fallouts and you see that your technicians, your installers are starting to get drained?
Yeah, well, we have some inherent advantages just based on size, right? So one of the things that, if you're out there listening and, maybe you're running a 5, 6 or 10 person shop. Some of these things may not be as applicable, but I have some ideas too for those operators as well. But one of the things that we made a decision to do was during development season, right? The times where we're not go, is shift to 4-day work weeks, right? So we went from 5 to 4 to give during those months, those 4 or 5 months that people have a little bit less crazy of schedules, the ability to be home with family, to be able to rest, to be able to get that third day. So at the end of the day, that's been a really important part of our culture at Barron, is that people understand that during peak season, it's go season, it's make hay season, right? Our contractors, our technicians that we work with as a contractor, they're on performance-based compensation. And so they understand, and there's alignment in working hard and making sure that hard work results, in income for their family, right? Being able to take care of them. And then they plan rest. And at Barron, we also plan training during those development seasons, right? So it's intentional to be able to up-level them, to fuel them, if you will, during those development seasons with 3 days of rest, with designated training to be able to grow them as technicians, electricians, and plumbers. And that's one thing that's been really helpful. Obviously, you mentioned, Jason, there's a lot of things that you can do during peak season to take care of folks. A lot of times when we are trying to grow into additional crews, we'll actually bring trainees in, a third trainee to a two-person crew during peak season to be able to get them touches, but also, to your point, hot attics, crawl spaces, all that. We also use those third person on those crews, right, to be able to provide rest for the heat, right, in those attics and places like that. So trying to think about how can you actually take the challenging conditions that exist during peak season, in this case, I'm referring to the cooling season being peak, and how can you actually create training opportunities that provide rest during those installs during peak season as well. And so it's just sort of reframing culturally what it means to go. We do things like, we give our guys and gals, they get water, they get Gatorade. We'll do breakfast in the morning, right? We'll make sure we have parts runners when they run parts. We'll bring them food. We do similar things to be able to help, right, with those days. But there is a mentality that has to take place, I think, with technicians, electricians, and plumbers when you hire them, and understanding that there is a time to make hay, right, to go, and that they know that when we go into development season, they're going to get those 3-day weekends and they're going to have training to help grow them as teammates. Now, does that make sense?
Yeah. When does that development season happen for you? Like, when does that start?
Well, it varies by trade.
Yeah.
It varies by trade for us. So up in Washington State, so Barron is based in a town called Ferndale, just north of Bellingham, Washington, sort of the northwest corner. So we, in the HVAC world, right, our peak season is going to be that, essentially May timeframe, probably through October, right? Maybe through September. And then the September, October is a little bit slower. And then we go right into heating season right around that time. So it's a pretty short seasonal break, if you will, of development. So we're looking at a 4 to 6 week period where they're getting those 3-day weekends. We're looking at training opportunities. We understand at Barron that we are not, as a company, going to make money in September. Like, we know that. And that's maybe a weird thing for people, on the call or to be listening, especially if they're new to the trades. But we know what months we're not going to make money, how much money we need to make during the peak season months to ensure that we have profitability.
I love that you're talking about this, because a lot of people think, right, they should be profitable every single month, or they expect it, which you should, right? But as a business owner and an operator, just like you said, you need to understand what slow months you have, what months are you going to be in the red. So when you are in the busier seasons, right, you have to produce to get out of those red zones.
Well, and cash is
flow,
king,
yes.
right? So cash is a big part of that too. So if you don't understand that you're going to have to discount and promo to fill capacity and probably operate in the red for a period of time, and you're not preserving cash during peak season to be able to get you through that, you're going to be struggling. And the only way to do that is to make sure that we are essentially budgeting correctly as a company. So, and that has to be across the board. that's not just HVAC. That for us, that's electrical plumbing. We understand our seasonality across the board.
Brad, one thing that you were talking about that I think is really interesting, because a lot of business owners in the trades actually don't know about performance pay. Can you talk about performance pay, and when was it that Barron went towards performance pay, and what was kind of the outcome that you guys saw?
Man, that's a really good question. So when I came into the business, it was about 10 years ago. I'm an engineer by trade, then did sales engineering and then engineering management of a 4-state territory. I didn't know about performance-based compensation, and that was okay. I learned about it early on and started to listen to people that were talking about the why behind it. But I'll give you a really fun, interesting story. When I first started at Barron, my dad was a rah cheerleader type guy. He liked to get out back with the guys in the morning to be able to, when they got their job packets. By the way, when I started, they were still paper job packets. But when they got their job packets, right, with their equipment, where they were going, how many hours were built into the job, et cetera, he would go, root them on and cheer them on and be like, hey, man, John, you got it. Or Brett, you got it. You're going to crush it today. We're so proud to have you on the team. Beat those labor hours and kick butt, take names. And as a new person to the trade, I remember sitting there going, well, if they beat their hours, because they're hourly, they're making less money. So you're encouraging them to make less money to perform better. Mm-hmm. So it just seemed counterintuitive to me. And so my engineering brain clicks in and goes, well, I've been hearing people talk about performance pay and some of the early seminars and conferences I went to. There's probably a reason these large dealers are doing that. Let's dive in and look at that better. And so at Barron, we made a decision that we were going to slowly but surely move all of our departments to performance-based compensation. I believe that it aligns essentially the company up with the technician. There needs to be checks and balances. You don't want, someone going out and making mistakes consistently and them not being held accountable for those mistakes. That's a pitfall of performance-based comp that needs to be addressed early on in your compensation structure. But at the end of the day, performance pay at Barron also allows our technicians to earn exceptional money during those peak seasons, right? They get to go out, they're earning a percentage of that job, and they get to absolutely crush it. And then when we scale back, right, during the development season, we pivot them over during we do hourly training pay, right? And that's at full wage here. Like, we don't do a training rate. I believe that we should be paying our people the wage that they have earned in order to train. It's a mutual investment. They have to, again, say yes to learning, and we say yes to investing. But it's worked out really well. But that was the genesis, me looking at my dad, and I loved his energy of high-fiving and cheering guys and going,
that's me.
I feel
right
like
there.
You're asking them to work harder for less.
High five!
Wow. Yeah, let's go! But what about you guys? Are you guys doing any? Obviously, I'm assuming sales is performance based for you.
So sales is performance pay. So we have dispatch and sales on performance pay. So in order to get someone motivated to outbound call, right? I motivated them that every time they outbound a call and they book a tune-up, they get a $5 spiff on that. If it's a diag, we charge a little bit more for that. They get $10 off of that. If they end up booking a outbound call and it turns into a system replacement, I'll give my dispatcher 2% of that. So that's their performance pay plus their hourly. My technicians, their performance pay is they get their hourly. They got a bonus structure monthly, and then also they get truck revenue as well off of their performance. Sales, same thing. System replacements, they have no base pay. They're just straight commission, right? And it's when I go to companies, and this is me personally, when I feel like the sales comfort advisors are on a base pay, they don't try as hard because they have that comfort level underneath them, right? That, hey, if I don't ask for the extra no, right, it's okay. If I don't get the yes, it's okay because I got my cushion. So I'm a big believer in the sales department. Technicians, hourly, everybody else, yes, but sales professionals, if you're not just a commission role, I mean, that's how you get paid what you're worth, right? There's no cap.
Sure. No cap. Love that. By the way, that is also a pitfall, I think, of performance-based comp structures, is putting caps, right? I'm a huge believer in no cap compensation. I want my top sales guys to be earning, $250,000 a year plus. Like, that is what I want.
Absolutely.
If they're doing that, our crews are busy and Baron is making money, and that's a mutual win-win-win, right? But at the end of the day, I think that there's other ways too that performance-based compensation really helps with seasonality. And I think you hit on it a little bit, but when we are booking in the service department, right, our tune-ups and our diags, when we're doing that stuff, we want to make sure that we are talking about memberships, because memberships are what get us through the shoulder season, those seasons of development. And, I've read a lot and seen a lot. I believe that if you've got $1 million in revenue in a company, at least 1,000 memberships are required to sustain you through that shoulder season. So for example, if you're a $2 million company, you should have 2,000 service agreements to be able to withstand shoulder season and have the maintenances that hopefully, right, will yield demand when things break, but ultimately replacement opportunities for aging equipment. So, and we pay our technicians, right? We spiff them in order to have engagement with our customers about the benefits of a membership program. I say membership program. Some people say, maintenance agreement. I do not like that term personally. I believe that membership and a benefits program is the way to speak, because what we don't want is the customer thinking all Baron does or all ABC Contracting does is come out each year and tune up my system. That is such a fallacy.
Absolutely.
To what a membership program should be. It's a benefits-based program with, Baron, we have 13 primary benefits that are part of that program. One happens to be a tune-up, but the tune-up helps us in shoulder season. And so when we are coaching our technicians, the electricians and plumbers about memberships, what we're really trying to do is also teach them that this is your meal ticket when the weather is not driving demand, right? Like, this is how you stay busy. And so when they're coming off that peak season and they're getting excited, building that membership base that their team is going to be able to eat off of, right, so to speak, when they get into shoulder season, that also helps them mentally really push through and drive through when things are busy, because they know that it's going to slow down a little bit. Again, like at Baron, they get the 3-day weekends, they get the training, but they're also going to be able to do lower stress maintenance calls during that development season.
Yeah, and kind of going back to what you were talking about, Brad, when we're talking about commissions and employees, right? So when you're commission based, my mindset when I was in the field was every day I wake up, I'm unemployed. And what does that mean? Yeah. That means I got to go figure out my opportunity, right? Because let's be real, when it's fallout season, maybe there's not as much opportunity. And I always say, to be that elite professional within your company, it's not always gimme, gimme, gimme. Okay. It's, hey, it's a give and take. So what can I also do to go produce opportunity so I could also provide for me and my family and my company and my employees as well? And I've always had that mindset that, hey, if I'm commissioned, every day I wake up, I'm unemployed and I got to figure out my opportunity.
Yeah. I think that creates an inherent drive. It also aligns who you're hiring with what you're expecting, right? Yeah. And I think that's important too. The recruitment process, especially for sales individuals or even service individuals, you have to be asking those questions about what drives people, what motivates people. Are they people that operate out of fear, out of scarcity, or do they have a desire to win? Mm-hmm. One of the things that, I learned growing up, and I did a lot of sports in high school, but I always had an aspiration when I was in wrestling. I think we talked earlier about I did wrestling and golf, but in wrestling season, to make it to the state tournament. And so my freshman year, I made it to the state tournament. I was a little 103 pounder.
You're a little
guy.
Really
long hair too. I
was
a
hippie
very
little guy, huh?
I'm a lot bigger than 103 pounds now, but that was me back then. And then my sophomore year, I didn't make state. I didn't make it. And I was really, really concerned about why that was. And I realized driving back from the regional tournament, I was driving back with my dad, And he said, hey, like, you know, you did great. You had a good season. Keep your head up. And my dad's encouraging. I appreciated that. But I told him, I said, Dad, I said, I think that because I made state the year before, I operated and wrestled out of fear that I was going to lose. I was afraid I was going to lose. I had a scarcity mindset, right? And I flipped it. And the next 2 years, I, you know, went to state and did well. And I just changed how I thought about it. I went from a fear of losing to a desire to win. And I think when we're recruiting technicians, electricians, and plumbers and salespeople, we need to be talking about what motivates them. And we want to make sure people have that desire to win, right?
Yeah.
That mindset of wanting to win. Winning isn't a bad thing. Like we talked in the first episode, I think, about sales being a bad word. Winning is not a bad word, right?
Absolutely.
Winning's a great word, especially if winning is aligning, you know, your coworker to your customer, to your company, to your community. If you've got that alignment, what at Barron we call the 4 C's, you're golden, right? So at the end of the day, all of those things matter, and your team and strength of the team helps get you also off of that peak season into the development season to ultimately be successful. What are you looking for when you, I know this is a little bit of I guess a pivot, but I think it's an important one because it does speak to culture when things aren't busy, when things are slower. What are you looking for in that interview process to ensure that you have a strong culture when things are busy and when things are slow?
Be very transparent up front. You know, when you sit down with your interview, first off, when we bring into our interview, we have the individual sit down with every single department in the interview stage, right? Because we want them to understand the overall customer experience starts with departments, but not division, right? So I always ask, how is the baton being passed from each department? But as the individual seating with each department, one of our biggest things is our goals, our vision statement, right? Our mission statement. And they get a card, and every single manager that they touch goes through that card with them to show them the importance of everything. I love that. I set all expectations up front. You know, they have a very set guideline of what their job duties and functions are, because when they come into royalty, right, I don't want them to be roaming and wondering. I want them to understand what their position, and also not just what their position is, but what the growth looks like here as well, and what the opportunity looks like for them. So those are kind of the things that we go through with interviewing. But what I look for is people that I don't necessarily look for talented technicians, right? Because sometimes talented technicians come with bad habits. Okay. So I look for people that are open-minded, willing to learn, and always being a student, and understands the trades are growing. And 10 years ago, from what the trades are today, right? It's a completely different shift. So I always say, if you're not adapting with the shift, you're going to get left behind, just like Toys R Us did. And you're going to have to shut the doors because Amazon's going to take over. So that's what I look for when I'm interviewing is, you know, I also challenge, this is something that I learned when I went to Any Hour in Utah. They have a really good hiring process. And what I do is I also challenge them, and I make them wait. So I might schedule them an interview at 12 o'clock, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful of their time, but also I want to see how they react if someone's 15, 20 minutes late. And the reason why is because we go to homeowners' houses, and sometimes we pull up to their driveway, we call dispatch, and we say, hey, nobody's there. And all of a sudden dispatch calls you and says, you got to wait 15 minutes, or they tell you, hey, they're 20, 30 minutes out. How's that person going to react at the interview? I don't do it all the time, but I will set those little stones of irritation in my interviews to also make sure that I set myself up to understand what's their frustration points. Also, Brad, another big thing is, as business leaders and coaches, okay, we always talk about what we want to achieve within a company. Okay. We want to hit 3 million in revenue. We want 50 million in revenue. We want this for this month. But what I also want to understand is, every time I hire someone, I have them make a vision board or a goal board. So when you walk through our office in our break room, everyone in my office's vision board's up, and we go through each one and we celebrate their wins, because as an owner, it shouldn't just be one way of what I want to achieve, but what is it that my team wants to achieve this year? What do they want to achieve next year? What's their 3-year goal? And as a leader and the leadership team, how can we execute the wins together?
I'm going to say this, Jason, you just gave me, I know I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt right now, but you gave me goosebumps, because if I could pivot my camera, I'm in my office right now, I would pivot it right over to the left and you would see my vision board and the vision boards all across the company, the same capacity.
Love it.
Man, I was like, goosebumps.
See, I'm just on a smaller scale of you, but just wait, 30 years from now, holy crap, I could only imagine 10 years where royalty's going to be.
Yeah, no, vision. I absolutely love that. The other neat thing that the vision board does, and that concept does, especially if it's introduced early, is it also informs us as leaders and the leadership team on what we should be focusing on training in the shoulder seasons, right? Because our techs, electricians, plumbers, project managers, coordinators, right? All those people literally wrote down where they want to go and have given you the roadmap, right? To be able to help train them during the times when things aren't crazy busy. And so I think sometimes the answer to a lot of our challenges is under our nose, right? Like if we just take a moment, to your point, don't focus on what we want. Understand that when we help others achieve their hopes and dreams, and we ourselves are going to achieve those hopes and dreams. But man, that is so cool. I've met a few people that do the vision board thing. And like I said, if my camera could pivot, I'd be like, dude, there's my vision board right over there.
Love it. Love it.
When did you start doing that at Royalty? When was the vision board incorporated?
Our first employee. So it's always something that I've done in my trainings. Day one of on-sites, I always make them do the vision boards. And then I make everyone present it day 2 on-site in front of everybody, because as a team, we got to collectively got to understand, because we want to make sure that, hey, if my install helper wants to pay off his credit card debt, right? And I'm the lead installer, and he's going through that challenging season of, maybe it's too hot in the attic and he wants to give up or something. It's that extra motivation that they could get from that individual as well.
Yeah, no, totally. We, one of the things I get a chance to do is help coach contractors across the U.S. And one of the things that we do during the intake process and that early stages of coaching is we actually, if they've never written one before, we have the company create a vision traction organizer, or a VTO, if you've ever heard the Traction by Gino Wickman. We have them do that. And it's funny, a lot of people say they've done it, and then I ask, like, what is it that, you have on there? And they can't find it, right? They can't pull it out. And so in the same way, a technician, a salesperson, a CSR, whatever it is, can go in and create a vision board. Companies also need to create vision boards too. And that will also help inform, with the input of the leadership team, what we're focusing on in those times of the year when things are slower, when we're prepping. So how about on more the fun note? So you mentioned golf, and I think this is fun to talk about. Like, while we're in crazy busy season, we still have to do our best, right, to keep our guys and gals of sane mind, right? So you guys, I love that. Golf. What are some other fun things you guys have done at Royalty?
Yeah, so a couple things that we've done at Royalty is we've done paintballing. So sometimes when you team up, maybe you want to shoot your lead installer, or you want to shoot your office manager, or your owner, right? So paintballing. I'm very grateful that I live by South Lake Tahoe. It's about an 1.5-hour drive. So they have team building courses with zip lines and everything like that. We also have an amazing water park here called Sunsplash. Taking the whole entire family out to Sunsplash, doing a full barbecue and just water slides, water park day all day. So those are things, but as we're busy, right? As leadership and owners, sometimes they don't want to take care of their people because it's just go, 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 go. Yeah. But I'm telling you all, when you guys pump the brakes and just, and again, so last Friday, I took my whole team all day Friday. We were off. We did golf simulator. We had a full fun day. And I didn't care about the appointments. I cared about them, right? But my care was more of taking care of my people because I understood the hard work and dedication that they put in that week. So I could take off a full day of work and book them on Saturday or the following Monday and be okay with that, because I know that if I take care of my people, they're going to take care of my clients. And that's what I really thrive for, is what the overall of my company is taking care of who? My clients and my people.
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, we do similar stuff. As we've grown and scaled, I think I've mentioned this earlier, but our goal is to try to have our individual department leads, they are managers, they go out and create, we give them budget, right, to create opportunities to team build even in peak season. Obviously, as a company, we're trying to make sure that we have events, like we do summer barbecues, we do winter Christmas parties, right? Like we do those things. And those are both set during times when it's go, 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 you know, crazy busy. You know, and we'll do them on a Friday, right? Like we'll shut the office down early. Maybe it's full day, maybe it's half day, give them a little bit of extra so that they truly feel like they can come experience it. And it's normally during a part of the week that they'd be working, right? So they feel that differently. And yeah, like maybe we're giving up. I mean, a half day at Barron, right, could be tens of thousands of dollars, right, that we're giving
compared
up
to
revenue.
Royalty, right?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that you know, it adds up,
absolutely.
Right? But at the end of the day, what is even more expensive is burning people out, creating churn, and ultimately having to go back to the drawing board and try to hire people. It's expensive to bring people in the organization. It's a requirement, but man, don't shoot yourself in the foot and create a culture where it's go, 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 and then all of a sudden you're losing people left and right. Your attrition numbers are, you know, off the charts. And by the way, that's a really quick way to kill culture.
Absolutely.
So,
well,
really quick.
Brad, question for you, because, you know, right now everyone is go, go, go. So they were hiring for the season. Okay.
Yep.
But as we know, the transition, companies out there either hire or they fire, or they keep their team and keep them motivated and try to figure out a way. What is kind of your thought process to some of the smaller operators out there that maybe hired a couple more guys and they're transitioning into slower season and their mindset is, what do I do right now?
Yeah, well, I will say this. I think that I'm going to go back to like, not to be a beating drum here. Memberships are how you solve the problem of hiring. So if you hire coming into season, you need to be training technicians on how to sell memberships so that when it gets slower, there is work to be done. And again, I'll go back to what I said earlier. You have to budget for seasons of break even or slight loss and then crush it during those busy seasons if you're in growth mode. Now, if you're, say you're a $10 million company and you're totally comfortable there, and you don't want to do any more growth, which I would not recommend, not because of the fact that growth for the sake of growth is an ego thing. It can be. You don't want that. But if you are static, you're actually going backward, right? Like you are moving backward. Ooh. And so growth should be this for the sake of people and growing people. And if you do that, you grow opportunity and then you're dynamic and moving forward. But you have to be thinking about memberships, and budget for that slow season, schedule training. If it gets really severe, like we talked earlier in an earlier episode about the fact that, you know, I have the scars and the lessons learned. I'll say this, it is okay. People would rather work a 30-hour week than be let go. So be cognizant that if you hired the right teammates and you're still in that process, maybe you haven't perfected the membership engine yet, or you haven't completely gotten it all dialed because you're in growth mode, you're adding a vertical, you're doing whatever it is. It's okay to go to your team and ask them, right? If you say you overhired, try what you can not to fire those people, right? Like protect them. And also the other thing I would share with folks on the call, if they aren't very aware of their state's programs, there are awesome programs in many states in the United States that provide subsidized pay, right, during challenging seasons for the business, right? And so in Washington State, we have a program called Standby Layoff. We have a program called Shared Work. Some really neat tools that can be utilized in the event that you have a more severe shoulder season that was anticipated. But going back to your first question, do everything you can to protect your teammates when you hire them. because man, is it expensive to have to fire and rehire. I do not recommend that model. And that's coming from someone that early on in my career thought that was the best approach. And I do not believe that it is. I think it leads to cultural decay.
Now, as we're talking about memberships, I think this is really important, especially talking about fallouts, right? And keeping the rhythm going and the drum beating, right? My question to you is, when we talk about these monthly memberships, okay, or just memberships, are they paying monthly? Are they paying annually? What are they doing at Barron? Because I see two different models, right? As I travel and I train, people do $19.99 a month. People do $199 for the year, $399 for the year. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think there's really a right or wrong answer, and that might be a controversial statement. I think it depends on where you're at in your business and what your goal is. I always like to say there's, 3 different ways you can price membership programs. You can price for profit, you can price for growth, or you can price for proth. And you're probably looking at me going, what the heck does that mean?
Yeah, I was going to say, what was the last word you said? Prof?
It's profit and growth combined.
Oh, got it.
It is not in the Webster's dictionary.
That is a Brad Barron made up word.
That is it. Yeah, it direct quote. You can price for profit, price for growth, or price for proth. Brad Barron.
I love it.
And so it depends on where you're at, right? And so at Barron, we've gone through seasons of all 3, right? If you're pricing for profit, you're probably looking at a more expensive membership program. You better have the value behind that membership program to justify the expense, right? What you don't want to do is say, we come out and do a tune-up and it's $399. Like, you're probably not going to be growing your membership base.
Yeah.
I'd also caution against going out, doing, $49 membership programs. I believe that you should never bastardize your membership program price.
100%.
I think you can infuse precision or what we call at Barron performance tune-up deals to be able to generate membership growth, but that's different. Don't sacrifice the value of your membership program, because if you do that, you're going to end up having challenges downstream. And so at Barron, to answer your original question, Jason, we do both a monthly offering that auto renews and an annual offering that auto renews. Interesting stat, I had heard from the industry, right, when we first moved to the auto renew concept and monthly and annual options, that monthly was by far the way to go. Looking at data over the last 2 years at Barron, our annual renewing memberships, but our annual memberships actually renew and don't get canceled at a 9%, a 9-point better rate.
Wow.
And that's based on 2 years worth of data.
Wow.
Now, I'm not saying that you should go with my data. Like, you got to, in God we trust, everyone bring data, bring your own data. But at Barron, we used to heavily push monthly because we had heard that that is the way to go.
Absolutely.
And just in the last couple of years, our data has proved that both options are just fine. In fact, people cancel the annual memberships less at Barron than the monthly, which is intriguing. So, what about you guys at Royalty?
So right now we just do annual, $199 for a month. But just like you being in the industry, you always hear, hey, it's good to have that monthly credit card on file for, because it's such a low base that they don't see it in the bank account pretty much. It's kind of the mindset and philosophy of it, is from my understanding. But like you said, we get really good on our re-signs. Only being in business for 2 years though, we get a lot of memberships and we re-sign, but we talk about it, right? Because a lot of times as I travel and I train, what I notice is technicians don't talk about it because they don't know about it or they're not trained about it, okay? And if you don't feel comfortable and confident about talking about something, you're not gonna do it in the field. You're not gonna do it with the homeowner, right? So I start with developing the technicians of, first off, understanding how much is the value of the membership, okay? Right. Is it just the $19.99 a month? Is it $199 for the year? And you would be shocked how many people think it is just $199 for the year or $19.99 a month that the company's losing, okay? But if you think about long-term, it's not that. It's actually probably about a $30,000 investment, depending what your average ticket is on system replacement. Why do I say that? because your goal and your mission is to retain them as a club membership. For down the road, you could do what? Replace the system, happily involve them, but then you do such a great job, right, that they refer you. And you should try to get a referral out of every single touch of a homeowner throughout your technicians that you guys go into a door. This is so important, but I tell you, technicians miss this all the time.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir, and amen. I completely agree. It's funny. We hosted a mastermind call yesterday with some of our coaching clients, and one of the things we were talking about was scripting and role playing and understanding the value of memberships. It's easy for me to craft a membership program and write all the benefits and then just say, it's great, go sell it. But if they don't believe it, they haven't rolled up their sleeves and actually done it, practiced it in front of their peers, practiced it in front of homeowners, practiced it like in front of a coach like you, right? Like gone and done those things, then they're not going to be able to execute effectively in the field. But at the end of the day, at Barron, and again, going back to what we talked about, the time that we do this in an in-depth level is during our training seasons, our seasons of development. We're always role-playing every single week in our huddles. Like, we're doing that nonstop. I know you practice and preach that as well. Like, you need to be working on your craft all the time. But we have 3-day offsites during shoulder season where we'll take our technicians off and do a in-depth course with training and reflecting and journaling and role playing, right? To invest in them. And that's the time to do that, right? Is when we've come off the fallout, as you put it, we've come off that crazy go peak season. And that can be really great because development is not just, technical training. It's people training, right? It's learning how to engage, how to consult, how to educate, how to be a better person, how to lead yourself, right? All those things factor in. And then it's not as exhausting either. It's not like we're like, hey, turn a wrench at full speed during peak season and come into the lab now and turn a wrench full speed during shoulder season, right? Like, that's going to burn them out too.
I'm super excited to be talking about that on the next episode of Cracking the Code.